That's his third down conversion. Back to him they go. The flea flicker.
And a flea flicker. Flea flicker. Blunt threw it back.
The flea flicker.
Flea flicker.
Now you got a flea flicker.
Well, this is a flea flicker they've been running for many, many years up here in New England.
Welcome to Flea Flicker Daily Picks. This is Tyler. I'm here with Pal. The NFL season starts tomorrow at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cowboys at Eagles. Pal, that's your team, right?
That's right. That's right. Defending Super Bowl champs in action.
Let's go. And last minute, we're going to jam down your throats our NFL predictions. In the end, I just want to get some predictions on camera. And for the people, you probably won't agree with everything we say. Heck, I know you won't agree with everything we say. A lot of similarities between Pal's picks and my picks, but also a lot of differences. Kind of like probably at the bottom in terms of which teams are going to be picking at the top of the draft. So before we get into each division, we are going to list our NFL awards predictions first. Let's start off with the big one. Pal, who is your MVP?
I'm gonna have to go with Lamar Jackson. I think the continued success in Baltimore, it's going to be a very obvious script. That rushing attack is going to be lethal. They're going to put up a lot of good numbers. And I think this year they're going to win enough games for him to get that MVP award.
Best roster in football, in my opinion. My pick would be Josh Allen. I picked him last November, and it was kind of a mid-season pick, but I did win that pick. So that was the first blog I wrote on fleaflickermedia.com and ended up being a winner. Last year, he took home the hardware, and I correctly guessed this. And I'm going Josh Allen again right now. It's September, and the Bills are tied with the Ravens for the best Super Bowl odds. And they're also returning pretty much their entire offense. They added some depth to the receiving core. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, I expect to greatly improve. James Cook, always a great option. They got him signed and locked up. But this offense relies so heavily on Josh Allen still. So given the fact they play in the worst division in football, the wins will be there. I believe the stats will be too. The Bills' schedule is the most favorable schedule in the NFL if you look at it from a divisional winner standpoint. And the furthest they traveled this season, like the furthest west they go is only Houston. So you don't have to worry about some cross-country trips. We'll move on to Offensive Player of the Year. Who do you like?
I think we're going to see a repeat winner in this category. I think we're going to see Jamar Chase lock it down. He's going to get, hopefully, a whole year with Joe Burrow. That alone is going to give him just so many chances to get 200 receiving yard games. He's going to be able to put up 2-3 touchdown games. And with that, I just think there's no one out there that can compete. Justin Jefferson having a rookie quarterback, it's not going to help. And so that's why I got Jamar Chase winning it.
Yeah, this is the one award that we had the same player. He's a Triple Crown winner. He's Joe Burrow's favorite offensive toy. Jamar Chase, the first overall pick in many fantasy drafts this year. The Bengals defense still blows, so that helps a lot. And just like last year, their offense is going to have to carry the rest of the team pretty much throughout the entire year. Next to Justin Jefferson, Chase is a generational player. Some might say he might even be better than Jefferson right now. Burrow and Chase are the best duo in the NFL. And don't forget, Jamar Chase has 3 200-plus yard games over his career. And he's still got a long way to go. The guy's a stud, and he's going to eat no matter what. So let's move on to Defensive Player of the Year. I'll go ahead and select Will Anderson Jr., Max Crosby, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, some strong candidates for this award. However, I'm looking at a team that has a strong defense and a player who is a game wrecker alongside him. Will Anderson Jr. of the Texans, a.k.a. Bronny James's doppelganger, is teammates with Derek Stingley Jr. and Danielle Hunter. Some great players. Unlike Max Crosby and Myles Garrett, who's being double-teamed every play, Anderson can't be double-teamed every play because you have those other stars on the team. This is a great defense. He's the biggest star on this defense. and he's going to get his numbers and take home this award.
I got Miles Garrett. I know that you said he's going to get double teamed a lot this year. I think he will, but it's okay because he is a beast and will be able to overcome not all of them, not most of them, but an outrageous number of those double teams. I think you could throw three bodies at him and you still have to kind of hope that he can't get around them. I think Miles Garrett is going to win this award because, in part, because of an improved defensive front as a whole and as a unit in Cleveland. I think that's going to help him a lot. Like you say, taking that burden off of him, having offensive scheme for not just Miles Garrett, that's going to help him. But I think he's just too good of a player to not win this award. He said that he wants to win in this league. He's not going to win anything as a team, so he's going to get these individual successes.
That's a great pick. I agree with you. That's a future Hall of Famer right there. Let's move on to Offensive Rookie of the Year. My pick is the 24th, I believe, or 22nd overall pick in the draft, Matthew Golden. Packers selected a wide receiver in the first round of the NFL draft for the first time since 2002. That shows you how much how much trust the organization has in this young player out of Texas. Jordan Love is finally healthy, and I believe the Packers are going to win the NFC North. Golden won't really have to compete with any star receivers in Green Bay because they don't really have any. I mean, Jayden Reed is an all right player, but by far, Golden has the best upside.
I like that pick a lot. I don't think a lot of people may know who he is coming into the season, but by the end, people will know who he is. I'm going to also go with a young, kind of under the radar wide receiver for my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year as well. I'm going to go with Tet McMillan. I'm not sure how to say his whole first name, but I'm sure some announcer will teach me by week 1, week 2. But I think he's going to have to deal with a lot of good wide receivers in that room right now that he can learn from, but then also he's able to be given a chance to grow with Bryce Young. They can work on their relationship as the year goes on. We know it's a make it or break it year for Bryce, and I think the Panthers are going to surprise some people.
I'm with you. I'm high on the Panthers this year, and little educational lesson here. Tetaroa is his name, and I did see a press conference where he said that he doesn't like being called Tet.
Well, I apologize to Tetaroa, but now I know how to say his name. It's not as hard as I thought, so I guess I just needed to hear it.
Yeah, it does kind of look weird but like on paper, but I do like calling him Tet. I'm for as long as like I'm not in the room with him, I'm gonna call him Tet too. All right, moving on to Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm picking the favorite. I'm going with the favorite, Abdul Carter. Many project Carter to be a generational talent, maybe like Micah Parsons. Not to mention he has Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence lining up right next to him. Giants' defensive line is absolutely stacked. They'll get to the quarterback a lot this year. Carter's going to rack up sacks, pressures, and you don't select a guy that high in the draft if you don't think he's going to be a generational game changer. Who do you got,
I'm
pal?
I'm with you on that. I got the overwhelming favorite Abdul Carter for my pick as well. I just think that it makes too much sense to pick him for this award. Just the raw talent, but then also the situation that you mentioned. He has a unique combination of the two. This front seven is going to be the strength of this Giants team. And I think that he's going to have to be a feature part of it.
A lot of interesting choices for comeback play of the year this year. A lot of injuries, a lot of guys who missed a lot of time or just didn't play as well. Who do you like?
Man, comeback player of the year. I think there's one obvious choice. Aiden Hutchinson, his name was mentioned so often when he was not playing, especially later in the year when Detroit needed him in those big time matchups when you need to rely on your defense. He's the guy that they look for. It's a I don't want to say weakness of the team, but we've seen how thin that D line is in Detroit. This is a star-studded roster, and for them to have such a reliance on one player shows how good he is and how important he is to this Detroit scheme. I expect him to come back this year, put up monster numbers, and I think he's going to put the league on notice.
I'd have to agree with you there. The Lions really missed him in the playoffs last season. I think he's also a defensive player of the year candidate you should probably watch too. I'm gonna go on the other side of the ball with quarterback Trevor Lawrence. May not be the most popular pick, but he did suffer a gruesome injury last season. Aziz El-Shaair knocked him the fuck out. Lawrence finally has some competent weapons around him with a hopefully a competent coach. Brian Thomas Jr. is a stud. Travis Hunter should be a stud as well. If this Liam Cohen offense works out, then the Jaguars could be pretty solid. I question their defense, but playing in a weaker AFC South, there will be a lot of opportunity for Lawrence to take that next step up. Let's move on to coach of the year. So stick going away from the players to a staff member. I like Mike McDonald. I believe the Seahawks are going to be a surprise this season. A lot of experts are doubting this team, including Vegas. They have the worst odds to win the division at plus 500. But I really like how their draft went. They have two really strong running backs in Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Sam Darnold replaces Geno Smith. I think that's kind of like an equal cop out. I see him on the same quarterback tier essentially. And the defense is super underrated. The secondary is just amazing. The defensive line is getting a lot better. So I like McDonald. Who you got?
I'm gonna have to go with Sean Payton for this award. Not only has he been one of Vegas's favorites throughout the offseason, I've just thought that the storyline that we've seen in Denver over now the second year has just been something that a lot of these coaches dream for, especially if you're Pete Carroll going into Las Vegas right now, you see what Sean Payton has done. That is kind of an ideal scenario. They have, the playoff appearance under their belts. They have the expectations and the hype because of a good draft and good offseason. I think that if they can put it together and just win their division, which is a tall order in a very tough division, but I think if they can win their division, then he will have that award on lock.
Probably with you on that. Let's move over to Protector of the Year. This is a new award that it will be awarded annually to the best offensive lineman in the league. We all know this award will most likely go to an offensive tackle. They're just too valuable. And also, they probably will play with a great quarterback. Given his recent success on the O-line and my MVP pick in Josh Allen, Deion Dawkins has been a long-standing staple in this Bills offense. How fitting would it be if the Snowman won his first annual Protector of the Year award?
I think you love that story a bit too much, T-Bush. I'm gonna go with again the Vegas odds-on favorite, Penei Sewell. I think that this award is kind of made for players like him who are generational talents. You just don't see it on the stat sheet or in the fantasy. I think that he's not only going to have the elite performance to back it up, but he has that analyst support, coach support. I think that whenever it comes time for the voting, he's just going to run away with this.
All right, Sewell, probably the best O lineman in the league right now. You don't like Dion though? You sleeping on
I,
Dion?
Here's the thing. I agree that he's a great player, but for the pick of this award, I think you're going with your heart more than your head. So
He's a top 10 offensive lineman. I'll argue
oh,
that.
most definitely. I'll agree with that. I think
Okay.
he's one of the biggest reasons why Josh Allen is able to make some of those plays that he makes, extending the plays when he's able to get those designed quarterback runs, whatnot. You see that. So
Let's move into our NFL predictions division by division, starting with the AFC East. In my opinion, this is the weakest division in football. It's going to be a clean sweep from the Bills, though, in 2025. I got them going 13-4, a very easy schedule for the Super Bowl favorites and also the reigning MVP. Who do you got finishing first in this division, pal?
so I think this is going to be one of the few times I'm higher on the Bills than you are. I have them finishing 14-3, running away with the division. They don't lose the division game, in my opinion. I think that I mean, like you said, they play in the easiest division talent-wise in the NFL. You'll see teams like the Patriots take a step forward. The Jets, I mean, they'll take a step forward compared to how bad they were last year. But I just think that the Bills are going to be able to run away with this division and not really face any threat from the other contenders.
All right, finishing second in the AFC East, I got the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel comes in as their new head coach. And I do think this team will be much improved. Some good offseason acquisitions through free agency and the draft. I also have a lot of faith in Drake May, but it's a little too early for this team to be contenders. As for the Dolphins, got them going 7-10. No team has had worse preseason, offseason vibes than Miami. I think McDaniel is out after this year. Who knows if Tyreek Hill will show up or if Tua can stay healthy. The defense has already suffered major injuries, and the O line is atrocious. What do you think of those two teams?
So I think, funny enough, I have both of these teams finishing under the only team you haven't mentioned yet. I think the Patriots are going to take a big step forward. I'm a big believer in Drake May. I like the pieces that they've added. They've added good veteran pieces, and then they've also added players with high ceilings that they can develop with this young core that they're building. They have an elite defense, one of the best defenses in the league. But I just think that with the way that they are built, they're not going to be able to rely on any, you know, consistency when it comes to that offensive play. I think that's going to be where they struggle the most. They have, rookie running back. They have they have more question marks at wide receiver than they do answers. So I just think consistency is where they're going to lack. And then with Miami, I'm with you. I think they're going to struggle this year. I think that they've kind of missed whatever window they've had. And I mean, I think this division is going to be interesting draft time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't mind the Aaron Glenn hire to set the culture straight, but this Jets team is years away from competing. This team could lead their league in rushing with Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, and Fields, but I don't think Fields is a good enough quarterback for this franchise. Also, I think the defense disappointed last year. Elijah Vera Tucker just suffered a season-ending injury too. There's some flashy players on the roster like Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, obviously Quinnen Williams, and Sauce Gardner, but I don't think the team will be good overall, and that's why I have them finishing last in the division at 5-12. All pretty Dolphins and Jets, in my opinion, on the same kind of tier. So let's move into the AFC North. Maybe the best roster in the NFL, like I said earlier, the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, two-time MVP. I do not think it will be too hard for the Ravens to lock up the division. I'd like to mention that I do think the AFC is so competitive. I think it's a lot better than the NFC, and I don't have any other teams over 13 wins like the Bills. I have the Ravens coming in second in the entire AFC at 12-5.
I also have the Ravens with 13 wins this year. I think they're going to win the division. Like you said, it won't be close. In my predictions, I have the Bengals finishing second with 11 wins. So they'll be competitive, but I just don't see anyone really being able to challenge Baltimore for the crown.
Yeah, I'm with you with the Bengals. Probably the most interesting team in the division, in my opinion. An awful defense will hold back this team, but the offense could be the best in the league with Burrow, Chase Higgins, Chase Brown. I got them barely making the playoffs as a wild card and having a very similar season as what they did last year. As for Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh fans have been waiting for a season where the Steelers advance past the wild card round, but I'm sorry, this isn't the season. Aaron Rodgers is a very average quarterback now, and the entire roster is aging. The Jalen Ramsey trade was very questionable, and the defense will still be the main attraction, but I'm very skeptical about the O-line.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think that this is gonna be the year where their record of 500 or better comes to an end. I have them winning just 6 games in my prediction, and it's not even anything against the moves that they've made this offseason. I just think that as a franchise, they've treaded water and trended in the wrong direction for too long. They need a complete rebuild that they've put off for a while. I think this year is going to be the year where they have to acknowledge that reality.
I'm with you. I got them going for 7 wins. I think they're ultra desperate right now. I thought the DK Metcalf move was bad. They signed him to a bad contract too, just inflating their receiving market. And now on to the Browns. Cleveland will be one of the worst teams in the NFL for the foreseeable future until they find a long-term answer at quarterback. The quarterback depth chart will be the only news we care about throughout this season. And I'm not even going to mention the double S word. Do you know what the double S word is? Shedeur Sanders.
Mm. Well, I think you already mentioned it with the biggest headline being quarterback. I think that the fact that they have one of the most interesting quarterback rooms I've ever seen on a team that will, we all know it. There's going to be maybe 3 or 4 games this year where Cleveland has no business keeping it close, and yet it'll be a one possession game in the fourth quarter, and we'll be asking ourselves, hey, is Joe Flacco going to be able to come down, make this play? And I think that that is their biggest weakness. That is their biggest question mark is quarterback. But I do think that with the players that they have and the young players that they have in the skill position groups, I think I'm excited to watch Cedric Tillman's development coming in this year. I'm excited to watch how Dylan Sampson takes his role while we await for the Judkins situation to get resolved. I think questions like that are going to be interesting to watch for in Cleveland. But as a roster, this team is it's far from complete.
Very good points. How many wins do you have the Browns at this year?
All right, let me check. I have the Browns winning 3 games this year.
I'm pretty much with you. I got them winning 4. All right, going into the AFC South. This is like the AFC East, a weaker division. I still have the Texans at the top. This team took a step back in 2024, but I have a lot of faith in this defense. The CJ Stroud, Nico Collins duo is back as well. And D'Amico Ryans is a great head coach. I think they may struggle again with losses on the O-line, and an early Joe Mixon injury should be out for the first 4 or 5 weeks. But they'll still win the division since it's so weak.
Yeah, I have them getting 10 wins this year, getting into the playoffs as a division winner. But I think with the rest of their division, I just don't know if the Jaguars are good enough to compete with them. And I think that the Titans are going to take a considerable step forward, more than probably what the average person thinks. I have the Titans winning 7 games this year, but I think the Texans are just going to be able to, like you say, with that defense, just win the close games, win the big games later in the year, and that's going to be the difference maker for this Texans team compared to their division rivals.
I got them at 10 wins too, and my 7-win team in this division is actually the Jaguars, who I
Mm.
believe will improve, no doubt. Can't really get any worse like it was last season. But how much will they improve? They have a few splash players on defense, Josh Hines, Allen, Trayvon Walker. But the majority of the unit is still pretty trash. I think the offense will create a lot of highlights on Instagram Reels and such, but this won't be a playoff team. As for the Titans, I believe Tennessee struck gold with Cam Ward. I really do. And the defense was really solid in 2024. But realistically, this roster is years away from competing. So I have them at 5 wins.
How many wins do you have the Colts?
The Colts, I have finishing with 3 wins, tied with the Saints, who we'll get to later, for the worst record in the league. If you don't know who your quarterback will be until the last week of preseason, I can't take you seriously at all. We used to think of this team being pretty stable no matter who the quarterback was, but Daniel Jones sure as hell isn't the long-term answer. And benching Anthony Richardson means they're probably going to move off him and trade him. Uh, the defense isn't very flashy. The receiving room is very mid. Jonathan Taylor is the only significant player on this roster. The Colts, like the Browns, will be looking for a new quarterback at the top of the draft in 2026. No question about it.
I
What are
have the
your
Colts. Yeah, I have the
opinions on the
Colts winning
Colts?
just 2 games. 2 games, 2-15, right there at the top of the draft order. I have yeah, I don't know how, but I have a team below them in this draft order. You've seen my predictions, so you know, but yeah, I think the Colts are going to be picking. They're going to be picking in the first 3 when it comes draft day.
All right, let's get to that team. You're foreshadowing. The Las Vegas Raiders. Major changes took place this offseason in Las Vegas. Big upgrades at head coach, quarterback, and running back. But in my opinion, that won't be enough to make the playoffs. The team will be a lot more competitive, a lot better on red zone with no commercials. And there's still question marks in that receiving room and no line. It's pretty much all over the place. And the defense is very, very bad besides that one player, Max Crosby. You have I have the Raiders winning 7 games, but you are not so high on the Raiders.
I have them winning one game this year. I don't know. Like I said, I don't expect my prediction to come true, but I do think that they will be in the bottom tier of teams. I just don't think that they've made significant improvements needed defensively. I think that they have, for the past 4 or 5 years, have had the worst secondary. They have really, really bad I'm looking right now at their PFF grades, and when it comes to team coverage grades, they have ranked worse in NFL history since this advanced stat keeping has been there. In
Wow.
today's NFL, if you cannot defend against the pass, you cannot have a successful team. I don't think they've made enough improvements defensively. And then again, on these offensive significant pieces that we talk about that are being added, I just don't think that they're going to translate to the wins. They might translate to, production and how the football looks, but converting to wins, I think that's a ways away.
Yeah, you're right. It's a passing league. Defense wins championships, and Sean Payton knows that. This next team has been receiving a lot of hype this offseason, and rightfully so. The Denver Broncos. This is a top 5 defense. Very good defense with the reigning defensive player of the year, Pat Surtain, an offensive mastermind, a head coach in Sean Payton, and a quarterback who would have won Rookie of the Year if Jaden Daniels didn't exist. It's about time someone overcomes the Chiefs in the AFC West, and this year is the year. I think we're both on the same page with this one, right?
Yeah, I coming out with my rankings and my predictions, the AFC West is the most competitive division. Um I this Broncos team, we mentioned their defense a lot, but I think the real true strength of this team is their offensive line. Run blocking and pass blocking, they are elite, and I think that that's, along with the defense, their biggest key to success.
I would have to agree with you. I hope that RJ Harvey pick turns out to be a good one. And if Sean Payton really likes him like he did Bo Nix, then he should be pretty good. Coming in second in the division. Not sure if you also have this team, but let's not sweat this one too hard. Kansas City will still be a really good team. Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback. Andy Reid's the coach. Best quarterback and head coach in the NFL right now. If there's anything to watch for, it's for the offensive and defensive line. It's not really what it used to be, and that was very evident in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I have them finishing with the same record as the Broncos. I have them and Denver both getting 12 wins, and then the tiebreaker being the reason why Denver is my division champions. But that just shows you that I think the Chiefs are right there. They have a lot of receiving star power, especially when Rice gets back. Travis Kelce, I think, is going to be motivated. He might not be as elite as he was 5 years ago, 4 years ago, but I still think he's going to be a elite level red zone threat. He's going to be able to, be Patrick Mahomes' safety blanket. And then, number 15, you have him, you have a chance. So they're going to be ready. I think they're going to prioritize the regular season big match. They have some very big matchups this year. They play the Bills, they play the Ravens, they play the Eagles. They get to play the Lions, I'm pretty sure. They play a lot of these premier teams this year. So I think they're going to use them as tests to make sure that in the playoffs, there's no room for error.
All right, moving to the team who will finish third in this division. I had the Chiefs with 10 wins, the Broncos with 12. I believe the Chargers will go 9-8. A lot of hype coming into this offseason for the Chargers. A month ago, I predicted the Chargers to win the division, but a month later, they're without one of their best tackles, the highest paid tackle in the NFL, Rashawn Slater. As good as the rest of the offense is, the defense is very questionable. In 2024, they let up the most explosive plays in the entire league. And aside from an aging Derwin James and an aging Khalil Mack, can you name a single player on this defense?
Is that a question?
It was a hypothetical question and a real question because you probably can.
Wow. I mean, I couldn't. But I think, like you said, the injuries in the preseason, that's gonna really hurt him. I think Slater is the biggest one. I mean, the story with the fact that he signs his contract, I mean, and then the day after this news breaks,
Yeah.
there's just stuff like that that you can't script that. So I really do hope that the Chargers have a good year. I have them finishing with 11 wins. They were my outright division pick as well, but likewise to you, they have lost a couple of games in my ranking, in my predictions, because of the key injury and the key differences that those players make.
Great minds think alike. But yeah, that Rashawn Slater story, I imagine he tears his what was his ACL or Achilles or MCL. What was it?
I had it right here. Let me tell you exactly. It's not loading.
It's all good. Whatever the injury was, he thank God he signed that contract before he came up with that injury. He got his money. Honestly, it sucks that he's injured, but at least he got his guaranteed money.
They have a contract, so they have contract insurance for his torn patella.
Patella, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, they have insurance, so I think there. I mean, the fact that they were even talking about that shows that there's a potential that this type of injury is career ending, career altering. So definitely,
100%. Yeah, and that I'm glad he does have that insurance that keeps him on the roster for like maybe a couple years. I don't know how long it'll be. So it's pretty cutthroat. Honestly, if he wasn't that type of player, they could just release him like after the season. So it's a cold league. On to the NFC East. Starting with the Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champs. This one is pretty self-explanatory. They got rid of Milton Williams, CJ Gardner Johnson, but they're still loaded on the back end and they return their entire offense. Pal,
come on now. I got this team winning 14 games this year. They have, like I was talking about with the Chiefs, they have a lot of big marquee matchups this year, but I expect them to be able to move through the division like butter. I think that this NFC East division this year is the weakest it's been in a while. I think that Washington is going to be real competition, but apart from that, the Eagles should run away with it.
I agree. Um, I do think Washington will regress to the mean. Still a 10-win team, in my opinion, at the Eagles at 14 wins because they did upgrade the offense with Laramie Tunsil and Debo Samuel. Jaden Daniels is the quarterback, so anytime you have him, you have a chance. And I do think they may be a wild card exit this season. I'm just not very confident in the defense.
I think Washington is going to be the second best team in this division all year. I think the Cowboys are going to take a big step backwards. And that was before the Micah Parsons trade. I thought that they were looking like they were going to take a step backwards in this division. And then the Giants, I think, are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think that unless they start Jameis Winston, they're not winning more than 3 games this year. So
I'm with you on the Giants being pretty bad. I only have them winning 5 games. The only thing Giants fans should be worrying about this season is how their rookie quarterback improves over the course of the year. Eventually, Russell Wilson fatigue will set in, and we will get to see Jackson Dart. We have Giants fans hyped for the first time in a while. The D line, though, might be like some of the best in football, so it'll be kind of fun to watch that. And don't but obviously, we can't overlook how poor the depth is with the rest of the roster. As for the Cowboys, with or without Micah Parsons, this Dallas team is not going to be making any noise in 2025. Now, I do like the fact that Dak is healthy and they had George Pickens, solid talent, but obviously lost Micah Parsons. The O line, very raw, no running back, and there are some positions on defense I worry about. I have the Cowboys finishing with 6 wins, the Giants with 5.
I have the Cowboys winning 7. So I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah, so pretty similar stuff into the NFC North. Just like the AFC West, I think these are the two toughest divisions in football. I have the Packers finishing first in the division, and a couple weeks back, I put some money on a Packers future to win the division at plus 250. They're now like minus 150, I believe. Adding Micah Parsons puts the cherry on top for me when it comes to who's going to win the division. A healthy Jordan Love could be very dangerous for this league. The wide receiver core is young but developing. Matthew Golden, like I was saying, and the rest of the defense is very underrated. Xavier McKinney had, I believe, like 6 interceptions to start the first 6 games of last season. Not to mention Jacobs in the run game should feast. I've always loved Matt LaFleur as a head coach too. What are your opinions on the Packers?
I'm high on the Packers this year, before Michael Parsons trade. I'm with you on the pieces that they have being ready to win now and being exceptional for the future. They have a really good core. And then they've only added to them. I think the past few drafts, they've added a few pieces that, like this year, getting Golden. I think that that's another pick this year where Golden might have been one of the best wide receivers coming in the draft class, but I just don't think the Packers front office would have picked him a few years ago just because they did not prioritize the skill positions that much. Here in 2025, they've recognized that they're only a few pieces away from being Super Bowl favorites, and I think that's been the key difference in their philosophy, and I think they're going to see the reward for it this year on the field.
I really like that you mentioned that. That's very true. It seems like they're taking some swings here, and they know they got the roster to contend for a Super Bowl. Going to the Lions, losing both of your coordinators in one offseason is pretty devastating. And Ben Johnson is he's not a good coach. He's a great coach,
Mhm.
especially for such a talented team that was turning the corner after a 15-win season. It sucks that you have to lose these guys to be a real test for Dan Campbell. It'll be hard to replicate what they did last year, but you need great players to win, and Detroit still has a lot of stars on both sides of the ball. They won't be as good as last year, but they'll still be contending for a Super Bowl. At the Packers winning 12 games, the Lions winning 11, going down to the Vikings. This entire Minnesota season rests on the shoulders of J.J. McCarthy. They drafted him high for a reason, but will he be able to lead one of the best rosters in the NFL to the playoffs? I'm not so sure.
So I have the Lions winning 13 games this year, Packers winning 12, and then I have the other two teams in this division, the Bears and the Vikings, both getting to 7 and 10 on the year. I think that the Vikings have a few issues besides the JJ McCarthy question. I think that on the defensive side of the ball, they've relied on their defense to make big plays in the close games. They've been one of the best teams in one possession games over the past couple of years. That is hard to sustain. I think that, ensuring that continuity in defense, that's going to be hard. They've paid their big players, their big, locker room leaders, but I still don't know if they've added the right depth pieces needed to, you know, make that unit as a whole elite. And I think that along with, I think Ben Johnson is a great coordinator, great head coach, great mind. But the replacement that the Lions have gotten in John Morton, I think is going to be more than exceptional. He's going to come in, and we're seeing some stuff coming out of camp in Detroit where they're playing with a lot more two back looks. They're playing with a lot more deep shots. More deep shots than Ben Johnson's offense. So I think that this Detroit team, I'm excited to see them. I think that they have, compared to the Packers, they have more depth. They have more homegrown talent. The scheme, it fits the players that they have set. And yeah, I think the Lions are going to win this division, but Packers will make it close.
I like that. The Vikings, you said 7 wins. I got the Vikings winning 8. And the Bears, I also have them at 7 and 10. Chicago fans have hope once again now that new head coach Ben Johnson is in the building. But Caleb Williams is the key for this team, and I do believe this team sees improvement from the quarterback position, and the rest of the roster is very talented. So don't sleep on the Bears. They may not be a playoff team, but seeing progress is really all that these Bears fans can hope for. Let's go down to the NFC South. I have the Tampa Bay Bucks winning this division. This Tampa team is the only team in the NFL that has given the reigning champs a run for their money. The Bucks roster is loaded, and Baker Mayfield could be on his way to an MVP season. GM Jason Light showed us why sometimes it's better to take the best player available over going for needs in this recent draft. It's worked out swimmingly for so far for Emeka Ibuka, especially with the Godwin injury and the Jalen McMillan injury. Mind you, I'm not the biggest fan of this Bucks secondary, but they have the talent both on the offensive side and the defensive line in the trenches to have a lot of success and potentially compete for a Super Bowl. What do you think of the Bucks?
So I think the Bucks are going to be division winners this year. I think they have the potential, like you say, to produce an MVP level, season from their guy Baker. I think that they can get to 12 wins on the year. I'm looking for their defense to improve. I think that offensively they have the stability. They're well balanced. We haven't mentioned Bucky Irving yet. We haven't mentioned, the everlasting Mike Evans yet. But I think they have the offensive side of the ball, they have it handled. I think they can win games multiple ways. I think that they can make the big plays. I think defensively, we're gonna have to see, especially in the middle of the field. Antoine Winfield last year had I want to say the first year of his decline, so to say, he's been an elite player, elite safety. But I think we're seeing a decline in his play, and we're going to need Tampa Bay to find someone else to make plays happen, especially on the coverage side of that ball. And if they can, then this team can make an even bigger, deeper playoff run than they have in years before.
Yeah, I really like that. I got the Bucks winning 13 games. I'm gonna get this next team out of the way. The New Orleans Saints, maybe the worst team in the NFL at the moment. The Saints were shocked to learn Derek Carr was retiring this offseason, and they drafted Tyler Shuck out of Louisville in April. I don't believe him or Spencer Rattler will be a good long-term answer, and I feel bad for veterans Alvin Kamara, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan. The heydays of this roster are long gone. Don't be surprised if New Orleans is selecting Lenore Sellers with the first pick in this upcoming draft.
Man, wouldn't they go for Arch Manning? Isn't that the guy? But
That's who
I
is
think
supposed.
The Saints team has, I think, better offensive talent than people give them credit for. I think they have a couple of deep threats. Those types of players come at a premium nowadays. They have Alvin Kamara, who is, in my opinion, the best two-way running back, not named Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley. So I think once you once you really look into the playmakers that they have offensively, I think that they can break off the big plays and stay competitive. But as a whole, they're going to struggle this year. I have them winning just 3 games.
Me as well. For the Panthers and the Falcons, I got the Panthers going 9-8 and the Falcons finishing 7-10. Many analysts are picking Bryce Young to win Comeback Player of the Year, and although he wasn't injured, he did get benched, and I would have to agree with those picks. We saw the former #1 overall pick go on a tear to end the season, and the offense saw drastic improvement in personnel this summer, i.e. Tetaroa McMillan. The defense has been underrated, and the Panthers fans should be happy with 7, 8, 9 wins this season. As for the Falcons, or yeah, go ahead.
So I was going to say, I think the Panthers this year are going to be disappointed to not make the playoffs when it's all said and done. I have them winning 9 games, and if it wasn't for, the fact that in the NFC North you have the Lions and the Packers, in the East you have the Eagles and the Commanders, I think because these wild card spots come at such a premium, they're just going to get it's going to be luck, but I think the Panthers are going to make a good case to make the playoffs this year.
I'd have to be with you. I got them when it comes down to the playoff race with my records, they just miss it. But I do like the Panthers a lot this year. As for the Falcons, I'm a huge fan of Michael Penix, and I think he'll have a lot of success in this league. But the Falcons don't have the defense to match the rest of the league. Aging stars like Justin Simmons and Matt Judon couldn't get the job done last season, and I didn't see much change when it comes to improving on last year's record. It'll be somewhat a competitive team, but not a playoff team.
I'm with you. I think that pass rush is going to be their biggest weakness, and if they don't get it sorted, they're going to lose some games because of it. But offensively, offensive line is good. Bijan Robinson, he's a stud. Drake London, stud. I agree with you on Penix. I think he has, a good future ahead of him.
Great. Well, let's go into the NFC West. This division may be the toughest to make picks for in the entire league, in my opinion. Very close, very competitive. We don't know what's going on with Matt Stafford's back right now. Kind of concerning. I guess he's on track to start against the Texans. However, if this veteran is healthy, this team has Super Bowl aspirations. They upgraded their wide receiver room, signing Devontae Adams, and the defense has developed pretty fast, especially with star players Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. He's an absolute beast. Any team coached by Sean McVay has a chance. Let's not forget how close they were to knocking off the Eagles in the NFC divisional round.
I got them making the playoffs this year. That's assuming Matthew Stafford comes back healthy. I like the picks. I like the additions that they made, especially Devontae Adams one. I think he can still be an elite wide receiver on a competitive team. And I think whenever you look at this Rams team, I just think that it is so valuable in today's NFL to be able to win a football game multiple ways, and they can do that. And because of that, I expect them to get to 12 wins on the year and push for this division crown. I really don't know who's going to win this division. Right now, my predictions have the 49ers, but I could see them, I could see Seattle, I could see even Arizona, winning it if certain players break out. And this is just going to be a gauntlet of a division.
So you got the Rams with 12 wins. How many? I also had the Rams going 12 and 5, but winning the division. The
I had
49ers, you
I
had
had them and the 49ers both at 12 wins.
12.
Both at 12 wins, but I have the 49ers winning the division because of the technicality.
It seems like the 49ers are a team that could like either definitely win the division, 12, 13, 14 wins, or fall flat on their face just given how tumultuous the offseason was. Uh they trade Debo and they let Hufanga and Greenlaw walk to Denver, but there are still a ton of star names left on the roster. Injuries have already quickly piled up. They're kind of digging themselves a hole, especially at the receiver position right now. But I I don't think San Francisco has the depth. We all kind of knew the Purdy contract would greatly impact the flexibility of the rest of the roster. I have them going 9-8.
I could see them definitely falling short of expectations, but the way it is right now, I expect Brady to be an elite type NFL quarterback. I have my doubts, but I mean, those are the assumptions that we're making right now. And I think this wide receiver core, young studs, Ayuk, Jennings, Pearsall, all of them.
As for the Cardinals, you can argue they had a decent draft this past April, but has anything really changed besides that? Despite flashes here and there, I don't think Kyler is the guy. And Jonathan Gannon is on a pretty short leash in my opinion. I don't see Arizona. I don't see how they could improve on last year, especially with some key players up there in age.
So with the Cardinals, I'm going to be excited to see how their rushing attack plays out this year. They have a strong offensive line, and I think that with the two tight end looks, they're going to be able to do something that you just don't see a lot of NFL teams do right now. With the fact that they can play, an elite pass catching tight end with an elite run blocking tight end, and then also have, you know, Marvin Harrison Jr., what an X to have on one side of the field for Kyler Murray. I think that if that relationship can develop, then this Arizona team can really push. But if it doesn't, then when are we gonna be done with Kyler Murray? How many years are we gonna have this conversation?
Certainly is the big question. What was the record for Arizona?
Let's see. I got Arizona just missing out at 5-12.
Okay.
5-12.
Just missing out.
Yeah.
I also have the Cardinals
Yeah.
at 5-12. Let's move to Seattle. The last team we will mention in our divisional predictions. Um, right now, Seattle is at a division worst plus 500 to win the NFC West. But I think that's a great bet. A lot of value there. You swap equally skilled quarterbacks in Darnold and Geno Smith. You return a very solid defense. We mentioned the running backs, Walker Charbonnet, very strong options in the run game. I think if Cooper Kupp stays healthy, you could see him and Jackson Smith-Njigba being the best wide receiver duo in the league. I think Seattle adds a win or two from last year. They just missed the playoffs. I think they could sneak away as the winner, but right now I got them winning 10 games.
I have them just winning 6 games in my prediction right now, but more and more I look at this team. Uh, I mean, I don't know why I'm not higher than, what I am right now. They have an elite secondary. I think at the end of this year, we're going to be looking at the Seahawks team and we're going to be questioning ourselves, why did we not rate this defense to be top 3 in the NFL? I think it has that type of potential. And then I think the biggest question mark is going to be that offensive line, seeing if they can give Darnold the time to get the ball out to the wide receivers that you've mentioned.
I'm also very interested to see how Darnold and Mike McDonald go this season. Who do you got winning it all, pal?
I'm gonna have to go with the Birds repeat back to back. I mean, they have the best roster, most talented team. They've proven that they can do it. They have, they had contributors that were rookies last year who now are going to have that type of big game experience to rely on while they also bring in elite rookie talent like Campbell. I think that this year the Eagles have just reloaded and I think they're going to go make it back to back. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to throw out just one other name out there. I think that this year for the Super Bowl, I think people are going to be so surprised, but I think this is the year the Bengals make it back to the championship games. I don't know if it'll be the Super Bowl. I don't know if it'll just be the AFC Championship game, but I think we're going to see Cincinnati make a deep run in the playoffs this year.
So if you had to make a pick, would it be Philly beating Cincy in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, right now I guess that's my pick. Yeah.
And who would Philly be beating in the NFC Championship game?
Oh, let's see. Packers.
Packers? I like it. I think I'd have to go for I think the pick for the Super Bowl is obvious. Surprise, surprise. You pick the Eagles, I pick the Bills. I have the Bills defeating the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. Lamar just cannot get it done. Josh Allen is that dude. And I have the Bills beating the Rams in the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles are good enough to get to another NFC Championship game, but Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua get it done, get to the Super Bowl. I think that pretty much cements Matt Stafford as a Hall of Famer if he does get to the Super Bowl. But I think the Bills beat him out. I think it's finally the time. Please, must be, please. That'll do it for our. Sorry, go ahead.
Uh, uh, I'm ready to wrap up, man. I'm ready to watch some football. We got football tomorrow. Gonna get to see the banner go up. 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime. Blessed.
I think the Eagles are -7.5. Are you riding with the points?
I'm riding with the points.
I think it could be a blowout. It could definitely be a blowout. I'd probably ride with the points too. I'd go with the over as well. I'd parlay those definitely.
I parlayed it with Saquon over 19 and a half carries.
Okay, I like that. No
Yeah.
problem. That'll do it for our NFL awards predictions and our NFL divisions predictions. We'll catch you guys next year. Um, uh, Tell us how many picks we get right at the end. If this ever crosses your YouTube algorithm, just make a couple comments at the bottom and let us know how we did. Peace out.